Welcome back to the Astrocast. I'm your host, Drew. Today is Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. Just a few nights left of this waning crescent moon. Certainly hope you've all been well. Hope you had a wonderful holiday season. I know things have been a little bit different around here last couple of weeks, but we're still here. We're still making it happen. I've certainly missed this format, and I'm very, very happy to be back behind the mic. And boy, oh boy, do I have a lot to share with you guys, because a whole lot has happened over the last few weeks. So I'm your host, Drew. First of all, I'd like to say happy birthday to the Astrocast. As of just a few nights ago, the Astrocast turned 2. So we are celebrating a 2-year anniversary with this week's episode. When I started this show 2 years ago, it was because I could not find a podcast that really satisfied exactly what it was that I was looking for. And, you know, that disappointed me to no end, because I'm a huge podcast fan. You know, you can ask my wife. I'm the kind of person, and I would imagine a lot of you are as well, that just always has to be doing something. My mind just doesn't turn off. I have to be engaged in one way or another, and usually in multiple ways. I usually can't just do one thing and be satisfied. So, you know, even when I'm doing something as simple as taking a shower, I can't just take a shower. I have to be listening to a book or listening to a podcast. So whenever I got, you know, really deep into astrophotography and started looking for podcasts to listen to, there weren't any available that really scratched that itch for me. So I decided, what the heck, I'm going to start it myself. And now here we are, 84 episodes and 2 years later. And I'd say we're doing a pretty good job. So we might not always nail it, and I might not always get everything right, but we are a community. And I would say the most important and biggest thing, without a doubt, that has come out of this experiment is the community that we have built. So I could go back to our very first Patreon subscriber, and then go all the way up to our most recent Patreon subscriber. Shout out to Astropops. Thank you so much. You guys are quite literally the reason that I make this show week in and week out. And there are going to be more benefits for you moving forward in 2026. One that we'll be talking about today, which I am really excited about. We'll get into that, and we'll be talking about it a lot more as 2026 rolls on. And, you know, frankly, it's so cool to have a group of people with such diverse skill sets that come from such different backgrounds and different places in life. And everybody can all agree on one thing, that we love astronomy and astrophotography. And we all, you know, just kind of huddle together around that metaphorical fire, and we talk, and it's great. And I think one of the best and most humbling things that has happened to me is just realizing how little I know in comparison to so many others that are out there. We have multiple members in the Patreon Discord now that know mountains more than I do about astronomy and astrophotography. And I'm not ashamed to say it at all. I'm thrilled to have them there because they are just an incredible resource for all of our members to have. But that being said, I think everybody brings something to the table. It's not just those who have been doing this hobby for 10 plus years that know, you know, everything inside and out about how to image in mono that bring, good ideas to the table. Sometimes somebody who is brand new can bring a fresh perspective that otherwise would not have been considered, that can be a real game changer. So I just want to really thank from the bottom of my heart everyone who has contributed to the community in one way or another, and everyone who has listened to the show over these last 2 years. You guys are absolutely awesome. You're the reason I make the show. You're the reason that I will continue to make the show. So here's to you. Here's to the next 2 years and the next 84 episodes, or however many we end up with over the next several years. And let's just keep it moving. I'll give you a couple fun, quick stats that I got from the podcast Rewind for 2025. So we did 2,584 minutes of content, with the average episode being 63 minutes long. The longest was 120 minutes. Total of 41 episodes in 2025. We had a new episode at least every month, so we never missed a single month. We were listened to in 91 different countries. We were listened to in 2,198 different cities. And then Sydney, New South Wales, and Chicago were our most popular cities, most popular countries: United States, UK, and Canada. So thank you so much to all of the listeners out there. I just can't say thank you enough. I'm so humbled and honored that you would like to spend an hour a week with yours truly. It means the world to me. So, all right, let's move on to some Astro stuff. So I hope you had a chance to watch the last episode on YouTube, where I was able to sit down with Justin and Parrish and talk about data management and automation. It certainly had a big impact on me, because when we got done with the show, I couldn't stop thinking about sequence generator and how Justin uses it to basically program, what targets he wants throughout a season. Future here. I meant to say target sequencer. Back to you, Passroo. And then say he wants to get 100 hours on this target, 100 hours on that target. And then he can put in the priority of the targets. So he can, specify, if Orion is at least 15 degrees away from the moon and at least 20 degrees above the horizon, then make that priority 1. And then, make Rosette Nebula priority 2, so on and so forth. And the way that he has automated this just gives him unbelievable amounts of data, guys. And really, for me, a large part of the difficulty with astrophotography obviously is setup and teardown. I was able to eliminate a lot of that difficulty this year by building a pier. Well, in 2025, I built a pier. You can go back and listen to the Piers for Fears episode that I did over the summer, where I talk about that whole process. Now, that being said, I started thinking about how I could automate things more from my house. And the first thing that occurred to me was, obviously, if I wanted to do a fully automated setup, like a truly automated setup, then an observatory shed really is a must. Because while I can use a Telegizmos cover and just go outside and pull it off, that's not really going to be automated. And when I say automated, I mean have a weather station outside, local, check to see if there are clouds automatically. And then if you can see that it's clear skies out and we know that there is not going to be any precipitation overnight, go ahead and roll off the roof and then call target sequencer and then start grabbing data. It's literally a hands-off process if you can set it up that way. So I started thinking about, okay, what steps would I take to get there? So I was thinking about the equipment that I have. Obviously, I've got a couple of ASI Airs. I've got my Astrocast telescope. That would probably be the ideal one to use because it's a beautiful refractor that can get excellent quality images. I would use my light pollution filter that I have on loan from Leviathan Optics, which, by the way, is an excellent light pollution filter. If any of you guys are like me and prefer to shoot one shot color, highly recommend that you check out Leviathan Optics. I think I pretty much always put their link in the show notes, but I will put a link to their website in the show notes if you want to check them out. Go with that system. But then, obviously the ASI Airs, it's not going to cut it. You can't really truly fully automate things with an ASI Air. I love my ASI Airs. Don't get me wrong. They're great devices when you need to, carry your rig outside, set it up, and then quickly bring it back in. Or if you're mobile, if I'm driving down to the observatory in South Carolina for the night, 100%, I'm going to bring my ASI Air because it's perfect. It's mobile. I can use it with my phone very easily. That's what it's made for. It's great for doing that. But Nina is what you want for an observatory. I know that there are some other pieces of software out there. I heard some discussion around, I don't know if it was called Stellar. I heard people, I posted about this on one of the astronomy forums on Facebook, and there were some people discussing another piece of software. But for me, it's Nina, because Nina is actually what I started with. So back when I started during the pandemic, it was, APT was the big tool that everybody was using. And Trevor Jones basically taught everyone how to use APT. And, I used Stellarium a lot. Once I figured out how to connect my telescope to Stellarium, I was like, man, this is so cool. I can look at the planetarium software and see where my telescope actually is in the night sky. And I really, really dug that. But once I found Nina, that really changed things, because it really took all of those different tools that I was running, SharpCap, PhD2, Stellarium, and it put them all in one place. Very similar to how the ASI Air does, in fact, because prior to that, you had to run 4 or 5 different programs, all with their own ASCOM drivers at the same time on your laptop to control your mount, your camera, your guide camera, etc. And Nina simplified all that. Now, the setup process is a little bit more difficult than the ASI Air. But the benefit there is that you can set it up exactly how you want. So if you want to set it up to where, you start up the software and it automatically connects all of your devices with no user input and automatically starts cooling your camera to -10 degrees, you can do that. If you want to set it up to where it automatically connects everything but doesn't start cooling your camera, you can do that. If you want to park your telescope in a particular position when you're done imaging, you can do that. I don't know if they've added that feature yet in the ASI Air, but I know it's been an often requested feature to be able to horizontally park your mount for people to, close their roll-off roof observatories. And I don't think they have it yet. If they do, they very recently added it. So anyway, Nina was kind of definitely what I was thinking I'm going to go with for sure. So once I made that decision, the next decision was, what kind of computer do I want to use to run Nina? So there's a lot of different ways that you can go with a PC for a telescope. Obviously, a lot of people just use a laptop. When I first got started, what I would do is I would set up my tripod and then I would pull up a fold-out table next to it. I would set my laptop on it. I would plug in a USB hub to the laptop, and then I would run all the cables from my telescope straight to the laptop. that was great for whenever I was first getting started and setting up and, needed the screen right there to work in real time. Obviously, that would not be great for an observatory build because I want everything to be very compact and ideally to ride on the mount if possible. So I immediately started looking at the Nook style PCs. So the really small form factor, mini PCs with system on a chip where everything is integrated into a very small form factor. Now, when I say small form factor, I don't necessarily mean as small as an ASI Air or a Raspberry Pi, but very, very small nonetheless. I'm looking at my new one right now, and it measures about 4 inches by 5 inches by 2 inches. So still very, very small. My curiosity got the better of me. It's actually 5 by 5 by 1.5. So very small form factor, a little bit thicker than a CD case, but about the same footprint as one of those. If anyone from, my generation can remember what the size of a CD case was. So that was really important to me because I knew that PCs that came in that form factor had enough power to do what I needed them to do, assuming that you get the right kind. And we'll touch on that here in a moment. And I knew that they offered a little bit of upgradability, which was very important to me as well, because as you will see, if you start looking online for computers like this, it really depends on what you get as far as what sort of expansion you're able to have in the future. And also that really depends on what you're doing. For me, honestly, it's not like I'm going to be processing anything on this computer. This is strictly going to be for acquisition and then sending it to my main computer. So as long as it can handle running Nina, SharpCap, maybe some Planetary occasionally for video recording and those sorts of things, then I'm going to be more than happy. And it is certainly capable of doing that. Now, I want to caution you in saying that not all mini PCs are created equally. And you might be forgiven for thinking that they are very, very similar, because if you go online to Amazon and just search for mini PC, you will see a lot of different results, and they are all very similarly priced, low end $200, high end $400 or $500. And you would think that, every $200 computer is going to perform similarly to the other $200 computers, but they definitely do not. And they have very, very different use cases. And I want you to be aware of what those use cases are and when they would and would not be useful for us as astrophotographers. So if you start to look closely at the different specs that are available for these computers, one thing that will quickly pop out to you is that there are Intel and there are Ryzen PCs available. And when I say Intel, I'm going to specifically be mentioning N100 and N150 machines. And these are very, very lightweight, low power system on a chip machines. And they are meant to be really extremely low power machines for very, very simple tasks. Maybe, surfing the web, checking email, just very, very basic stuff. You really wouldn't even want to use one for things like watching YouTube because they're not very good at processing. They have very, very low power. Most of them only run at about a total of 6 watts, whereas the Ryzen computers are more, about 15 watts or higher, depending on the model that you get. I ended up going with one of the Ryzen machines after initially thinking maybe one of these N150 machines might be the way to go. But after looking at the specs and considering what Nina was actually going to be doing, plate solving, running cameras, sending signals to the mount, God forbid that I want to look at images as they're coming through. These are, a lot of different functionings happening at the same time to run an astrophotography rig. Therefore, you really would want a, real processor, for lack of better words. And the Ryzen ones and these mini PCs are basically laptop processors. So they're definitely, real world use case processors that can absolutely handle Nino with no problems whatsoever. So that's what I ended up deciding to go with. Now, as far as RAM, I definitely did not want to get an 8 GB machine just because I feel like 8 GB is just not enough for any machine nowadays. So I ended up going with 16 gigs of RAM and a 256 GB SSD just because the upgrade to 512 was a little bit pricier, especially with storage cost right now because of all the stupid AI stuff that's going on. But that is something that, again, I can upgrade later on if I want. It's very easy to upgrade an M.2 storage slot. And I will also note that most of these PCs, not all of them, but if you look into the reviews, you can usually find out pretty quickly, usually come with 2 RAM slots and only one of them are populated. So like, for example, I've got a single 16 GB RAM stick in my computer right now, but there is a second slot available. So, whenever I'm feeling froggy and want to buy another 16 GB stick and throw it in there, I can. Will I? Probably not, because this is more than enough for what I'm going to be using it for. And I hope the 256 gigs will be enough. If it's not, really, I can just use a, external drive if I need to. But I suppose if I really wanted to, I could always upgrade the storage internally. I don't want to spend a whole lot more than what I paid for the PC to begin with, if that makes sense. And with storage prices right now, that would not be hard to do. Yeah, I was just looking at the info on mine. It actually has a second M.2 slot. So I could easily just install a second slot for more storage. And I believe I actually have some other 256 ones just lying around. So that won't be difficult at all to do. So I'll probably pop one of those in just because. Now, the other thing that was really important to me in a mini PC that was very apparent to me early on when looking at the ones that were available was, I should say, the number of ports available on the machine. Now, I'm going to preface this with saying I didn't take into account the full picture when I was considering this. Had I taken into account the full picture, I probably wouldn't have had to have worried about what ports were on the machine so much, and I'll explain why in a minute. But at the time, I was thinking I want to have as many ports as possible, right? Because more ports is better. The majority of the mini PCs that I found had 4 USB ports, an HDMI port, a power in, and then occasionally a Type-C port that sometimes could do video. After doing a lot of searching, I found one that had 7 USB ports in total, an HDMI, a display port, and a Ethernet cord, so a LAN port. Now, I thought that was, super cool, obviously, to have that much connectivity in a mini PC. Was quite happy with that. What I was saying earlier, though, about not having taken the full picture into account, I ended up with the SVBony power box and USB hub to power my DC devices, like my camera and my mount, etc. And since that is a really great USB hub, you only need to run one cord from that to your PC, and that handles all of your connections. So if you do find a really great PC and it doesn't have too many USB ports, you can absolutely still pull the trigger on it, because you're really going to want something like the SVBony power box anyway, because you're going to have it for powering all of your DC stuff anyway. And particularly if you're like me and you use like USB dew heaters, it works great for that as well. And I'll get into that in a minute after we're done talking about the computer. But yeah, the connectivity was important. It's not as important in retrospect, but nonetheless, I'm still glad that I have all the extra ports. The Type-C port, I believe it can double as a display port. So that gives me 3 different display ports on this, of which I will probably use none. But that's okay nonetheless. So it also has Bluetooth built in. Obviously, it's got Wi-Fi built in. I very quickly paired a combination Bluetooth and trackpad keyboard to it. So it's, basically a full size keyboard. And then on the side, it has a trackpad. Logitech actually makes a really great keyboard with a built-in trackpad that I have had for years that I highly recommend for situations like this. I will link to it in the show notes if you're interested. And that way you always have a keyboard ready to go. Yeah, it's the Logitech K400. It comes with a USB hub too, so you can just plug that in and not have to worry about it. I've had that keyboard for, probably longer than any other piece of technology that I own. I think I've had that thing for like 15 years and it's still going strong. I love that keyboard. It's an absolute tank and it just works wonders. But you can get any keyboard, one of those little fold up Bluetooth ones would work fine. The main thing I would caution you about is just making sure that it has reliable connectivity and very good battery life, because what you don't want to happen is to be in a situation where you need your keyboard and mouse and you can't use it and you're in the cold or whatever. Now, all that being said, we're probably going to be in a situation where we're using this remotely anyway. So you're likely going to be connecting from another PC or your tablet or your phone or, whatever it is that you're using. But during the initial setup phase, you're going to need a keyboard and mouse, etc. You're going to want to keep one in the observatory. If you're like me, you'll probably have a monitor set up in the observatory just so you can easily access things. It's good to have. So definitely get a wireless one that you can plug right in with a dongle. So it's always connected and you don't got to worry about, batteries dying and those sorts of things. Now we'll get back to the computer stuff in a moment, but I do want to mention the SV power box that I was talking about. The model number is SV241. I know I talked about it a few weeks back on the show. It is just an awesome device and the price is phenomenal at $50. You really can't beat that. It does power management for all of your DC devices. It's a USB hub. It has Type-C for interfacing, USB 3.1 and 2.0. It does 5 volt. It does 12 volt. It does it all. And you only need one 12 volt DC input, just like you would use for your mount. And then it can send power to everything. So one power input, and then it sends nice, reliable power out to everything. I have ran my mount, my cooled camera at the same time, my AM3 and my 2600, my 2 USB powered dew heaters, no problems whatsoever. So highly, highly, highly recommend that. And like I say, you'll basically plug all of your USB devices, your mount, your camera, your guide camera, your focuser. Well, obviously a lot of that can plug into your camera, which then will go to the power box, because your, ZWO camera, if you use one or whatever camera you use, usually has a USB hub built into it. But I digress. All that will go to the SV241, and then a single USB 3.0 cable will go from that to your mini PC, which will then run Nina and allow you to control everything from one spot. So controlling everything from one spot is what we're going to talk about next. So I'm going to give you the gist of what I did here without going nuts explaining how to do it yourself, just because I don't think I could sit here and walk you through vocally all these very specific regedit things that I did in Windows, yada, yada, yada. But needless to say, this is very doable and is not that difficult if you know how to, use ChatGPT and Google to look things up. It didn't take me too long to figure it out whatsoever. So as stated earlier, I am looking to automate things. Automation is kind of the name of the game with this build, or I should say rebuild, because I'm rebuilding from an existing rig, but I'm just switching software that's running the rig, right? And a little bit of the hardware because I'm incorporating a couple new things. So what I wanted to do from my house is be able to turn on the computer and then walk away. So that's it. I want to press one button and I want it to be able to kind of do the rest. So if you think about that logically, if you're running a Windows computer, there are a few things that need to happen in order for that to work. the first thing is you have to get into Windows. So I had to look and see how to get the computer to boot up without taking a password. And that's actually a lot easier than I thought it was. There's actually a setting in the Windows, I believe it was the power user settings, if I remember correctly. Forgive me. But there is a very easy setting where you can turn that off and have it automatically boot into Windows. You know, let me back up. I remember how I did it. Just press the Windows key, type in run, and then you want to type in net PL Wiz. So like Papa Lima Whiskey India Zulu. So net PL Wiz. And what you will see is it will show your admin accounts right there. Feel free to create a local admin account without your, Windows account or Microsoft account if you have one. And then you can actually uncheck the box that says require the user to enter a password every time this computer turns on. And after you uncheck that, Windows will be able to automatically log in. So it essentially disables the Windows Hello settings. So you don't got to worry about putting that nonsense in every time that the computer turns on. Now, obviously, I would not recommend this for your normal everyday use computers, but this is strictly for a remote observatory build where you want it to boot directly into Windows. Okay, so that is the little disclaimer there. Also, I am not giving legal advice, so just keep that in mind. Now, after that, the next logical thing that we want to do is get Nina to start running. So there are a lot of different ways that we could do this too. So I was thinking about it and I thought to myself, well, we probably want to have a little bit of a delay just in case some of the USB devices need a little bit longer to connect, or, Windows is loading crap in the background. Another pro tip, make sure that you open up your list of startup applications in Windows and disable literally everything that you don't need, which is pretty much all of it. You don't want unnecessary stuff running in the background. Honestly, ideally, you would probably rather do this on Linux just because Linux can be so much more stable and you don't have random updates and reboots like Windows does. But my plan over time is to hopefully neuter Windows enough to where I can get it to where it's not rebooting and taking updates and all this nonsense that I don't want it to do and just run my observatory. So I'm just telling you the steps that I'm taking along the way. And if you want to take some of that, feel free to. So task scheduler is what I used to run Nina. So what's cool about it is it allows you to trigger delays. So I could add a startup delay for 30 seconds. That way, if the USB camera hasn't been detected yet, or the mount hasn't connected yet, or, ASCOM has a hiccup or something along those lines, it gives it a little bit of time to work those problems out. You can make all sorts of different triggers. And if you have different software that you want to run outside of Nina, and I'm sure that I will have different software that will run outside of Nina, before it's all said and done, then that would be a great way to go about doing this. But you just press the Windows key, type in task scheduler, and then open it up. You're going to name your task. I named it Start Nina. Click on the triggers tab. Make sure that it happens at login and specify your local admin account. Under the actions, you're going to need to specify the exe file. So basically, C drive program files /Nina.exe, wherever the file is installed to is what you want to put there. So make sure you copy and paste the path to it there. And then you can set any conditions that you would like. So basically, if it fails, have it restart. And I have that set to restart up to 3 times. And then obviously that startup delay of 30 seconds. And that just gives it a little bit of time to make sure that all of the USB devices are connected. This is great. And I've been using it for, I guess, about a week now in testing. I'm still in testing mode. I still have this rig sitting right beside me here with a monitor hooked up to it. And I'm kind of figuring it all out, the ins and outs. I'm physically putting the rig together with some new parts that I'll tell you about in a moment here. But I can tell you that when I have the computer completely shut down and then I turn it on, it now starts up, logs into Windows without a password, and then 30 seconds later, it connects to Nina, and then it loads my profile, and then it connects all of my equipment automatically. And that's awesome. That is really, really cool that I've gotten that far this quickly with the, very limited amount of knowledge that I have about Nina. So a cool thing about Nina is under the profiles area, you can have different profiles for different rigs. So like, obviously I've got different telescopes for different purposes. I've got the Astrocast SQA55 that is my, wide field refractor, my, most used telescope, but I also have the C8. I've got different cameras and I use different cameras in combination with different telescopes, and I can set up different profiles for all of those combinations and just select that profile, and Nina will remember everything specific about it. And that's just a lot less work that I have to do, which is great. It just automates all of that for you. Target sequencer, don't get me started on that. Like I've already talked about it a little bit, but guys, it's crazy what you can do with some of these add-ins. The plugins that are available in Nina are just crazy. They're awesome. They really are. So like I downloaded the connector plugin, and that's the thing that automatically connects all of my equipment whenever I first start up Nina. I also downloaded, Live Stack, which allows me to live stack images as they come in. That's something that I really enjoy doing on the ASI Air when I'm in live mode, but you can't do it in plan mode. I've had some kind of workaround ways that I've been able to do it in the past, where I've had it like send the images to my Windows machine as they come in, and then run stacking software that has a batch script that checks the folder every 30 seconds for a new image and then sends that to the stacking program. But that's really convoluted and complicated, and this is so much easier. So that's just built right into it. Target Scheduler. I already talked about that. I can't tell you guys how cool Target Scheduler is. Like, that is the goal, is for me to have it automated to where I can use Target Scheduler. Now, something that is obviously really important for anyone who's trying to automate things like this is going to be the weather. We have to be, hyper weather aware. And luckily, Nina has plugins for multiple different weather services, to where, you can plug in whatever your favorite weather service is that you're using. Just built in by default, I see Open Weather Map API, the Weather Company API, Weather Underground API, and Weather Underground Station ID. I'm quite certain there's a way to connect your local weather station to it as well. And what I wanted to do was actually find a way to basically have a guaranteed way where if rain was detected, the roof would always close. And I was trying to think, like, what's a cost-effective way and redundant way of doing that? Well, I will probably be talking with the guys at Dark Dragons, sponsors of the show, Jeff and Rick, about roll-off roofs at some point. But I did happen to stumble upon rain sensor modules that you can buy for Arduino, ESP32 boards, or Raspberry Pis. And they're so affordable. They're only $6.99 for 2 of the modules. And they do one thing, and they do it right. They detect rain, and they can send automations to your Arduino. So essentially, if you can do coding with Arduino, you could tell it if it detects rain to go ahead and close your roof based on this. So I did order a couple of them just because I want to play around with it. I don't even have a roof to close yet. So I might have got a little bit ahead of myself with that, but I wanted to see what it was about. And, you know, at that price, why not play around with it and see what it can do? I think that's super cool to have. You know, luckily with the way that Nina is configured, I don't think it would ever get to the point where I would have it where rain would have a chance to drop on my gear, because I'm going to set it to where, you know, if I get the 60% cloud cover, it's going to close. And I'm building like a micro observatory in my yard. I'm not going to build anything big. I don't need anything larger than a 4 foot by 4 foot footprint for my refractor. That's all that I want to put in it, because all I want to do is very, very, very long sessions of wide field imaging, because I am planning on doing some remote imaging from much farther away in the very near future. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the future here. But you know, I do need to be able to, at 3 o'clock in the morning, if rain starts falling, be able to be confident that that roof is going to close. So, you know, probably I'll end up talking to Jeff and Rick, because I trust them and I know that they know what they're doing. And when you're dealing with thousands of dollars worth of gear, which all of us have invested, when you get to the point where you're, you know, ready to build an observatory, don't mess around with that, guys. Like, you know, I'm telling you, like, yes, you can get raindrop detectors for $6.99, and like, that's fun to play with, but don't play around with like your actual scopes. I would not like count on, I don't know. I wouldn't personally count on my own coding skills in a $6 detector for my $7,000 worth of gear sitting out under the sky. You know what I mean? That's just me though. So your mileage may vary. I will link them in the show notes, just because I do think it's a super cool piece to play with. And I do have an Arduino board. Another cool thing that you can do with an Arduino board, by the way, that I did recently is use one of the LEDs that's included with it. You can make a very, very easy push button LED on off LED light. You can make an artificial star. So that way, if you want to collimate your SCT inside, if you have a real long hallway, you can do that. I did it recently. It works very well. So, lining it up, that's a completely different story. It's not very easy to line up a 1700 millimeter scope down a long hallway and hit an LED, but that's a different story. But the LED itself worked great, and I have no doubt that it would make an excellent artificial star. So Arduino boards are awesome, and I can't recommend them enough to people who like to tinker. They sell kits online now for, well, I mean, they've sold them forever. I've been buying these kits since 2011, I want to say, where you can, you know, put together robots, and they come with servos and motors and potentiometers and speakers and just all kinds of little bits and bobs. And then you can easily, you know, code them. And, you know, it's a lot of fun. So definitely check those out. But yeah, the rain detectors for monitoring the weather, something very cool for just $7. So check them out. Now, the other part of the whole process has been the physical part, obviously, of deciding to go with a mini PC over the ASI Air. Obviously, the ASI Air is really tiny. I mean, even compared to the mini PC, it's a lot smaller. And, you know, it can be mounted pretty much anywhere. Mini PC can be mounted in a lot of places, but it's a little bit bigger. And it gives me, or gave me, I should say, the opportunity to finally go with a Lost Mandy plate, which is something that I've wanted to try forever, but I've never really needed one, frankly. And I thought this was really the perfect opportunity to finally give one a try, just because I've always been jealous whenever I've seen rigs with Lost Mandy plates. If you don't know, there's two types of mounting plates that we see in astronomy, generally speaking. You have your Vixen dovetails, and then you have your Lost Mandy dovetails. And the Vixen ones are generally much more narrow. Most mounts tend to accept both types, and you will notice whenever you're looking at your mount, whether you have like a AM3 or a CEM mount or an AM5, that there are spots for two different types of mounts. And indeed, that's because one's for Vixen and one's for Lusmandy. But anyway, the Lusmandy being larger, I thought would be a better idea since I have the mini PC now. I started looking around and the prices vary quite a bit. So I was actually talking to Justin because he has Lusmandy mounts mounts on all of his rigs. And I thought, man, oh man, what's Justin using? So I asked him about it and he sent me the link, and his are actually, they're great. And they were very, very affordable compared to the others. So I want to make sure that I share the link for that with you guys. So I ended up with their Agena Astros Lusmandy D mounts. I will put the link in the show notes to these, and they will be affiliate links. So if you end up purchasing through any of the affiliate links today, it does help the show. So I'll make sure to include those. But what's cool is the one I got in particular, it's 14.2 inches long. So it's got plenty of length to it. It's obviously a lot wider than a Vixen plate. And it's just got a ton of mounting holes. I'm looking at it right now. And what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mounting holes from left to right. And then, God, there's got to be 16 of them top to bottom. So just multiply that. I mean, there's got to be over 100 mounting holes on this, and they come in different sizes from M6, M8. I believe I saw M4. They can take 1/4 inch, 20 bolts, all kinds of different sizes. So very, very excited to give that a try. I also needed some spacers, and I'm still looking around on that. I haven't made my mind up. They actually, believe it or not, you can buy 3D printed spacers. And I started asking in the Discord about this morning because I was like, I don't know about that. How does PLA react in the cold? I printed one out just to see what it looked like. Don't think I will be putting my multi-$1,000 rig on top of a 3D printed part. I just don't trust it. But if any of you guys have used a 3D printed mount or spacer, please let me know. Shoot me an email to rue@theastrocast.com and let me know. I'd be curious to know how it worked out for you. All right, guys. It's time for
social media.
You know what time it is. Social media stardust. I can't remember what week we're on. I think we've had 4 winners so far. This might be our 4th winner thus far. We're going to be doing one every episode. So, like I said, we won't necessarily do an episode every week anymore. I am giving myself the opportunity to put out every 2 weeks instead in 2026. But this week's winner immediately caught my eye when I saw the photo, and the image really spoke to me personally as an astronomer, because if you know me, I love wide field stuff, and I love the winter scene of all the beautiful constellations that arrive in the Northern Hemisphere around this time of the year. So if you've ever been to a really dark sky site, so like, Bortle 3, 2, 1, I mean, even Bortle 4 or 5, honestly, beautifully dark skies in the winter really are something else. There's something special about it. I think it's because it's so cold out and there's generally less moisture in the air because of it. You just get that really crisp, clear view of the skies, and it's just really special. So this particular image was very wide indeed, and it was taken with really simple equipment. So this is about as budget friendly as you can get, and I love the results that they were able to get. It looks like they even left in a few of the satellite trails, which I think is actually kind of working in this photo. I don't think it's all of the satellite trails. Maybe it is, though, because it looks like it's a total of 45 images at 90 seconds each. So a total of 1 hour and 10 minutes of integration time. The person who uploaded this video put it on the Learning Astrophotography page on Facebook. Congratulations to Jett Spaulding for your beautiful image of the Orion Nebula, Flame and Horsehead, and all of the beautiful surrounding nebulosity that you were able to capture with your Rokinon 135 and your Canon T5 DSLR on your Star Adventure 2i. So this is just proof positive that you do not need ridiculously expensive gear to get ridiculously beautiful results, because this is really a cool picture, man. I can't speak highly enough of it. You did an excellent job processing it. You were able to bring out just all the beautiful gases in the background, which are really, really rich in that area. I like how you minimize the stars a bit with your star reduction. I love it. I think overall it's just an excellent job. So, he writes that he captured it from Bortle 2 skies. Like I said, he used his T5 with a Rokinon 135 F2, Star Adventure 2i. It was 45 images at 90 seconds each for a total integration of 1 hour and 10 minutes. It includes the Casper the Friendly Ghost Nebula, which is M78, the Horsehead and Flame, and then Orion Nebula, of course. And just because of how wide it is, he's got Alnitak and let's see, Alnilam as well. Yeah, I was just zooming in a little bit to make sure it was there, but yep, they're both there. And great job on that, Jett. It's a beautiful, beautiful photo. So you will be entered into the winners circle at the end of the year. We will have the community vote and decide what their favorite image is. And I have something to add. So I've been saying for a few weeks now that hopefully one of the partners, sponsors, affiliates of the show would throw something in to go along with the cash prize that I'm putting up for $100. And indeed, we have had that happen. And that kind of brings me to the next topic for the show. So before I get too deep into that, let's just say that a S30 Smart Scope is going to be part of the winners package now for the Social Media Stardust contest. So the winner at this point will be getting $100 cash as well as a Seestar S30 Smart Telescope. So really awesome Smart Scope from ZWO. That would be an excellent, secondary rig, or if you're getting started for the first time, you're looking to get into the hobby, obviously it would be an excellent rig for you to get started with. I would like to personally thank a longtime friend of the show, Nathan from Astro Peak Observatories, and his partner for donating that to the contest. And indeed, we are going to be working with Astro Peak Observatory in the coming months. And we're actually going to have quite a bit to talk about in that regard. So I'm not going to get super in depth today because it is still early in their process. So they've still got work to do. However, I am going to tell you that we are just one of a few partners that they are going to be taking on. They're not going to be opening this up to a huge group of people, which I think is very, very wise to do. And members of our Patreon are going to be getting an exclusive discount. And if you haven't figured it out by now, Astro Peak Observatories is a remote observatory. So obviously, we have all heard of Starfront Observatory. They've been very successful down in Texas. And, they've done a great job. They've got the largest by volume observatory in the world now. What Nate is doing, though, is a little bit different. It's a little bit higher end in that the skies are going to be much better. And I say that because they are going to be at 7,000 feet under Bortle 1 skies. I don't know if you've ever been to high elevation sites in dark skies, but it makes a huge difference in the quality of seeing. You're able to see so much more. The old rule of thumb used to be that every 1,000 feet of elevation got you another level of magnitude that you could see with the naked eye. I don't know if that's actually true or not. I do know that when I'm in the mountains under a dark sky site, I can see a lot more stars than I can see from a dark sky site at sea level. There's no doubt about it. So they are currently in the process of opening up the observatory. They hope to be open up this spring. I believe they have a goal of being open up by the summer. They already have secured all the assets, investors, etc. So they're well on their way. They're actually taking reservations for peers, and they've got 19 spots left. So we're going to be doing an exclusive discount code for members of the Patreon. So if you are a member of the Patreon, you can get a discount of $5 off per month on your peer, which is already a very affordable price, which essentially pays for your Patreon membership if you have the $5 a month level on the Astrocast. So essentially you'll get your Discord Patreon membership for free when you rent a peer through AstroPeak. So it's really a win-win. And they're going to have some really, really awesome solutions in place. I really like the hub that they're setting up to be able to control everything. They're going to have 24/7 on-site support. They're going to have a very reliable power system, which can be reset remotely. So you'll be able to power cycle your device. It's really, really cool. So I'm going to be keeping a very, very close eye on this situation as it unfolds. If you are interested in this, please, please, please check out the Patreon. So you can go to patreon.com/the Astrocast. Join us over in the Discord. From there, I will be happy to provide the discount code to you. Then you can go sign up and reserve your peer. Everybody who's listening, who's already a member of the Discord, as soon as I post this episode, I'm going to post the code in the Discord, and then you guys are welcome to reserve one. So the prices start at just $75 a month. So really, really hard to beat. And I mean, the skies are better than Texas. I'm just saying. I don't want to start no Astro Wars, but 7,000 feet, Portal 1. Then again, it's completely different area, completely different situation. They're not trying to compete, but I really, really love what Nate and the crew are doing. I am thrilled to be a part of it. Nathan, he was one of our early supporters on the Patreon, and me and him sat down and talked on Sunday for a good while. And I'm so excited for him that he's actually doing this, because this is something that if I lived out west in Utah or New Mexico or Arizona, I have no doubt that I would probably be doing it myself. As things stand, though, I don't live out that way. And, how my life has unfolded, it's just not possible for me to do it. That being said, though, I am so, so, so happy to be involved in even a very small capacity in this. And I cannot wait to go out and check out the observatory. I'm dying to get out there. So as soon as it's ready, I am going to be booking a flight out to Utah. No doubt about it. So 7,000 feet, Portal 1 skies, remote astrophotography. I told you all of that about Nina and building my shed. And then I talked to Nathan and I said to myself, well, I guess I know where this rig is going to be going, because there's no way, if I have access to that kind of sky, that I could possibly set it up in my yard under all these city lights with all the terrible light pollution and my neighbors shining their bright light in my yard. And it's just so bad. But now I'll finally really have a chance to get access to those truly beautiful, beautiful dark sky locations. So I'm just beyond thrilled and excited about it. So Nathan, I am wishing Godspeed and good luck to you and all of your partners in this undoubtedly huge endeavor, because I can't imagine how much work is going into it. But I hope that it goes well. If there's anything that I or the community can do to assist you, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. And we'll do our best in any way that we can to help. And good luck to you, man. You're doing it. You are making the dream come true. So good luck to you, and good luck to Astro Peak Observatory. I've heard Utah has amazing skies. We got a couple of members in the Discord group that have been out there. In fact, Nathan and Eric actually took a trip out there a few months back. I believe it was just a few weeks after we did the first light trip over the summer. And they went out and sent back just some incredible photos. And man, oh man, I can't wait to get out west and see those skies, because like I've been out west before when I was a kid, much younger. I suppose I've been out west as an adult too, but it was on vacation and it was really just a passing through situation. Like I've flown through Salt Lake City, and I've been to Seattle when I was going on a cruise to Alaska, and, you know, little stuff like that. But I've never like gone out to Utah for a week to do stargazing, you know, that sort of thing. And man, I really, really, really can't wait to do it. So I'm hoping that all changes this summer. So definitely check them out. Like I say, you can get more info from me if you want to join the Patreon. Like I say, I'll give you that discount code. It's very, very valuable. You get a discount. It pays for your Discord membership, so you get access to the community. We're going to actually, while I'm at it, I might as well tell you, we're going to start doing once a month. We're going to be doing, I haven't come up with a clever name for it yet, but basically get together and learn nights. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. We've done lots of impromptu sessions on the Discord before, where we'll schedule something with an individual and several of us will get on and teach each other how to do something. But I thought it would be fun to have like a standing night once a month where everybody knows that it's going to be happening at X time. And I'll try to make it as time zone friendly as possible, because we have so many listeners over in Europe now. In fact, I'd be curious to see how many we have compared to those of us over here in the, you know, western part of the world. But that, I digress. Anyway, we'll definitely be doing that. So lots of benefits coming, you know, besides just getting a discount for the peers. So definitely check that out. And I hope to see you there. You can do that at patreon.com/the Astrocast. And just want to take a moment one more time and give a shout out to Astropops, our newest member. He actually sent me a photo of what he titled as his best M42. He posted it in the Discord chat as well later on. And I commented that it was one of my favorite M42s that I had seen. And he kept it beautifully natural. It was not over processed at all. It had beautifully natural colors, those blues and purples that you just love to see in Orion. And I thought it was so well done. So you're doing a great job on things, Pops. Keep up the work. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. And you're clearly already doing a great job with it. So I'm sure there will be many, many, many more great images to come in the future for you. So thanks so much for joining the family. We look forward to talking to you more. Sean, I'm pretty sure I thanked you on the last episode. I can't remember for sure because we did the video episode last. If I didn't, thanks for joining, Sean. We're happy to have you as members as well. Hope you're doing great, and we'll see you in the Discord as well. So, guys, that is going to just about do it for us this week. It was good to get back to the old ways, as it were, and just sit down and talk shop for an hour with you all. Super excited about the partnership with Astro Peak Observatory. I cannot wait to see how that all unfolds in the coming months. Stay tuned for that. I have no doubt that we will sit down and talk with Nathan in the future about how that whole process goes. As you know, I've been dying to talk to somebody who runs one of these remote observatories to, just see how it all works and, what they struggle with and what they love about it, what they hate about it, and everything in between. And we have an inside guy now. So we'll be able to get all of that information and more. So stay tuned for that. We will have it coming for you in 2026. So thank you so much for welcoming me back into your ears for 2026. I'm sure it's going to be a great year. New moon is upon us. I hope you have clear weather this weekend. I'll be aiming to make a trip to the observatory Friday night if all things work out. I sure hope they do, because it's been a few months since I've been down there and I sure miss the boys. So hope you're doing great. Hope everything is going well in your life. I am your host, Rue. You have been listening to the Astrocast. And as always, clear skies.